so people go, well, why are you women so angry? Well, it takes enormous energy to, if you use the metaphor of space travel, when you're in orbit, it doesn't take all that much energy to stay in orbit. So let's say the orbit is the status quo, but in order to break the orbit, you've got to pour on and create some kind of thrust, and oftentimes anger at the injustice, indignation at the, why is this okay? And you start going, hey, everybody, how come this is okay? Is this okay with you? And then it starts out as a word of mouth campaign.
Right.
And I've joked with my sweet husband, Ken, that I'm committed to pissing one woman off at a time if I have to. It's like, why is this okay with you?
No, that's got to be a new motto, pissing off one woman every one conversation at a time.
Exactly.
Well, what can we do to get involved? What would you recommend?
Well, it depends on what chimes your bells. I mean, if you are a voracious reader, I can give you a reading list. If you love to watch documentaries, there are a bunch of documentaries, including mine.
Watch this. He balls his fist. He raises his fist. He prods her. We don't know what he says, and bam, she's had enough. The World Health Organization says 1 in 3 women are assaulted in their lifetimes. Think globally, act locally. There's nothing more local than your body. Oh, that's a female. I'm not afraid, said no one, ever. Animals learn how to hunt or defend themselves through fun and games. The mama never segregates her babies into male and female groups. They all play and learn the power of their own bodies, regardless of gender.
Once women know that they can defend themselves in a physical way, then they can defend themselves emotionally, economically, politically. I mean, there's just no end to it.
My overarching recommendation for women is to recognize that it is not a requirement that you be nice.
It's better to have all the preparation you need and have nothing happen than it is to just hope everything's going to be okay.
Okay, hit, fine. I can figure out how to hit. But to say, go away, back off, that was a really tough thing for me. A kid running out to the street and you yell, stop! You've saved them. Okay, can you access that voice for yourself? But now I'm back and here to fight. Can't worry if I be like the game got old and I had enough. I fell down but I got right back up and now I'm stronger, stronger. I've got the heart of a hero, the strength of
I designed my movie, Beauty Bites Beast, to be something that you could not unsee.
Yes.
And there are lots of other documentaries. So it's really, I don't try to talk people who don't read into becoming readers. That's not my job, because if you're a voracious reader, you're a voracious reader. And boy, have I got things for you. But if that's not your jam, then movies or TED Talks even. There are a bunch of really good TED Talks about gender.
Yeah.
So there are lots of ways to have some kind of portal into the injustices that exist because of not only gender, but race.
Yes. And you are a stand. I know that, we talked about this, before. That's part of your humanitarianism is, you're not just a stand for women, but, women of all walks of life. And, and that includes, skin color. So I love everything that you stand for. I was just reading today, as part of my research in this conversation, I just wanted to get more, knowledge about, like, who don't I know who's in the roles that men typically do, that, who's doing it now? Are women doing this? And there's Katie Sowers, the NFL coach, Becky Hammon, who is the NBA coach, at least, that one game. I don't know if I've heard these two women, but I was reading about Jennifer King. Have you heard about her?
No, and I'll tell you, I am embarrassed to say that I have not kept up with contemporary women because I'm focused on women in history,
Sure.
which does not give me an excuse. It doesn't let me off the hook, and that's where I've been focusing.
No, let this be a lesson for all of us. I mean, I didn't know about the two women you spoke of, so this is a history lesson for us all.
Yes.
So, so yeah, Katie Sowers, NFL coach. I mean, there's just so many women who are breaking the barriers down in what, you typically see men do. And obviously, I mentioned Kamala Harris only because I feel like that was just a great representation, to the first female, of also, like you said, check many boxes, Asian American, African American woman who has now become VP, elected VP. So I just wanted to say something more about that. I mean, I know you're not looking at kind of more contemporary women, but do you feel like there's contemporary, like it's still happening, like it's not over yet, like the women's movement is not over yet. We still have to keep breaking barriers down,
Right. And
to say our message.
a lot of the movement, a lot of the women's movement happens in silos.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily know about one another, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's annoying as far as being able to keep up with everybody, but a lot of rigid gender roles are broken down within the bosom of the family.
Sure.
And we've had a setback, we being women and girls have had a setback with the pandemic, because it's assumed generally that the woman will take over not only the house, but the education of the children. Now, there are some exceptions to that, but a lot of women have had to leave the workforce so that their children would not be neglected. Because, let's face it, a lot of men don't step up and go, hey, honey, I'll take on the kids. Let me do that. Now, there are always exceptions. But for the most part, women have had major slippage in their jobs and careers over this past year.
Yeah.
And are slipping back into 1950s roles, basically. And, that's fine if that's what you signed up for, but a lot of women didn't sign up for that. They wanted to have a career. They wanted to contribute equally to the household finances, but this pandemic's nobody's fault, and women pay a higher price.
It's interesting how the pandemic kind of like brought that back, like reset back to, historical moment from like 1950s, like, you do all the cooking, cleaning, child care taking, all of it. I mean, I know I've lost
and
my
still
job.
work from home.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, as women, we sort of like innately take that on, because we are take charge women, or we are, that's part of our nature, right?
I don't know. I don't know if it's part of our nature. It's certainly how I was raised.
Yeah,
Whether
that's
it's part of my nature or not, I don't know. And a lot of the historical record has been skewed because men, for the most part, have been the historians. And so there are lots of instances where when women entered archaeology, they said, hey, wait a minute. Are you sure this warrior is a man? And sure enough, they do DNA testing, and it turned out it was a woman. That's happening more and more. But the thing is that the white male, especially in the Western cultures, has been basically trained to think of themselves as better. And that's not an individual's flaw. That is how the culture has
Yeah.
raised them. How are they going to fight that? And why would you say, no, 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 I'm not better? Of course, it's easy to take on, yes, I'm better. Do you know what I mean? But,
Who wouldn't?
right, right. But, you know, the reinterpretation of history really started happening with the second wave of feminism, which is usually marked from Betty Friedan's The Feminine Mystique.
Yep.
And that rattled a whole lot of homemakers that were feeling denigrated anyway.
Yeah.
Taken for granted, not compensated, not appreciated. And the feminine mystique went to the heart of the home. And then of course the media pitted homemakers against career women when there really was no fight in reality, but the white male dominated media loved to have cat fights. It's like, see, they don't get along. Well, men don't get along. I mean, it's like, how about highlighting that? Men bomb each other.
Right, right. But the moment women break out into it, it's a cat fight, you know?
Yeah. Which is, you know, a pretty negative stereotype.